yes, so now it is time for tea time.
Oh, child.
And like I said, we're going to talk about Black trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So I found something from Mental Health of America, which again, shouts out to them because Mental Health of America, Wisconsin was on site at our church to provide resources.
For Denim Day.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's all the key to Denise, child. So I found something on their site, on their national site about racial trauma. So I just want to open it up by reading just a little something just to kind of set the tone for the conversation. Racial trauma or race-based traumatic stress, RBTS, refers to the mental and emotional injury caused by encounters with racial bias and ethnic discrimination, racism, and hate crime. Any individual that has experienced an emotionally painful, sudden, and uncontrollable racist encounter is at risk of suffering from a race-based traumatic stress injury. In the US, Black Indigenous people of color, BIPOC, are most vulnerable due to living under a system of white supremacy. Experiences of race-based discrimination can have detrimental psychological impacts on individuals and their wider communities. In some individuals, prolonged incidents of racism can lead to symptoms like those experienced with post-traumatic stress disorder. This can look like depression, anger, recurring thoughts of the event, physical reactions, which could be headaches, chest pains, insomnia, hypervigilance, low self-esteem, and mentally distancing from traumatic events. Some or all of these symptoms may be present in someone with RBTS, and symptoms can look different across different cultural groups. It is important to note that unlike PTSD, RBTS is not considered a mental health disorder. RBTS is a mental injury that can occur as a result of living within a racist system or experiencing events of racism. So yes, just wanted to start out with that description from Mental Health of America. So yes, so I got a quick funny story.
Okay, good, because we might need the laughs.
Right, we might need just a little bit. So a couple months ago, they were like, hey, when I say they, I mean work was like, hey, people, y'all can come pick up monitors because guess what? Y'all now all work from home forever.
Indefinitely.
No, definitely. Not even indefinitely.
Don't ever come back.
You definitely work from home.
Forever.
Right?
Jeez.
Forever. Because I told you before, they was like, don't forget to take your nameplates. Don't forget to do this. Like, you don't work here.
So clean out your whole office.
And then they had the fired boxes, remember? So, but then on a different occasion, they said, hey, we want to make sure that you have all the equipment that you need to work from home. So you may come and pick up monitors, blah, blah, blah. So I go pick up my monitor and they gave me a specific time. So I'm thinking like, I'm going to sign in, I'm going to sign out, I'm going to have like a property pass or something like that. No, it was just like, so I go to the conference room where I'm supposed to get my monitor. There's just a bunch of monitors. So I'm like, okay. So I grab one and I'm walking outside and then I'm like, it looks like I'm stealing.
Hilarious.
I'm holding a monitor. It's not wrapped. It's not in the box. It's not, it's just literally an open monitor with like loose cords. So then I put it in my trunk and I was like, this looks really suspicious, me being Black and all. So then I go home, I finish my day, I have the rest of my meetings. It just so happens to be a Monday. So your girl got to come drive out to the studio and do her podcast. So I'm on the expressway minding my business because that's what I like to do. And sirens just go off. And I'm just like, the police are coming to get me because I stole the monitor.
Jesus.
And then, they just swarmed all around me. But then, of course, they went past me because they had no reason to pull me over.
Right.
But in my mind, I was like, somebody reported that somebody stole some monitors from this company, and I'm her. And I have no way to explain this. And I was like, I don't have my work badge. I don't have a business card because I just think I'm going to the studio and I'm dressed tacky AF. Because I work from home.
Here we go.
So I don't even look like a professional.
And you got a whole monitor with cords in your trunk.
Just in my trunk. So I'm like, oh no.
Lord.
So yes, but that's traumatic.
That's that PT. What is it? The racial PTSD.
Right, the racial PTSD.
And that is very true because I've been driving a many times and I don't even have a monitor in my trunk or nothing. Just driving, minding my business. But as soon as you see this, and I'm a Black woman, so I can't even imagine what a Black man feels. When they see that. But as a Black woman, it's still like my heart just starts beating faster. And then I try to replay in my head, like, well, what could they possibly pull me over for? Like, I use my signal, my lights are on, I have the light over my the back plate. Like, what could it be? Like, well, I don't got a space for a front plate, so they can't pull me over for that because it's not even a spot on my car to have one. So I run through all of the things that it could be for why I'm getting pulled over. And then, of course, they go by because they're not thinking about me.
Exactly. But immediately you just hear day after day.
Yes. Seems like
down on my, like, you just, I don't know.
It is so
it's like
crazy.
I'm about to get shot. I don't know.
And that part is so sad. Like, that's the trauma.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Where we can't even peacefully just ride in our car and not have those thoughts that we're going to be pulled over. Or even, I was driving here just now, and we're out in a part of Wisconsin that's not for Black people. It's a red. It's a red spot. Big red.
Clifford red.
The big red dog. Yes, it's huge red. Where our studio is. And there was a car pulled over, and of course I'm trying to like look in the car to see if they're Black, because I just want to make sure that they're good. But of course it's 2 police cars pulling over 1 car, and I'm like, really? Does it take all of this to even do that? Like, what are you doing? But yeah, they seemed to be okay. Like, they didn't have them like out of the car or anything like that, which was good. So, but I was just like, yeah, it's just, you're always on alert, especially now when you see it, because it's like, okay, well, am I going to be the person to record the next shooting, or like, am I going to be the person that witnesses the next like police brutality? And you just never know. So it's crazy. And I just pulled up too, that the CDC, they declare racism a serious public health threat, which it should be. Like, at this point, it is like killing us in crazy numbers. Like, Black people are just dying left and right. And it's not even just Black men. It's like Black men, women, children. Trans people, like, all kind. Like, if you are Black, you have a target on your back, basically. And that's a lot to deal with. So, I'm glad we are talking about Black trauma. I wish we could have like Chill Will or somebody on here too to talk with us. But Chill Will, if you're in the chat.
Girl, Chill Will is at work.
He right there. Like,
right, look, I got my own Black trauma to deal with.
Trying to help these kids.
But no, we were actually hoping to have a therapist present with us today. However, she was unable to make it. So as soon as she is available, we will revisit this topic and get some expert advice, because obviously, and maybe we should start with a disclaimer, right? We're just speaking on our experiences,
personal experiences,
our personal thoughts. That is it. We are not offering any advice.
No.
This is just a place for us to share and get some healing in terms of just talking through it. And just, a place to release, a safe place.
Yeah. And it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but yesterday, JNR, I can't say my kid name. JR and I, we like to watch documentaries, more so me than him, but I make him watch them anyway. So yesterday we watched the day sports stood still. So it was kind of talking about like COVID and how, sports had to stop because of COVID, but then it's turned into race. I don't know how it got there, but then the documentary went that way, and how like the NBA handled like Black Lives Matter and everything that was going on last summer. But it was just sad to see Chris Paul, who's an athlete. And it's funny because my son just went to his camp a couple weeks ago, but he was on there and he was saying how his daughter had saw George Floyd being killed. Like she had happened to see it on the news, or her parents had watched it or something, and she saw that her parents were sad. So her parents kind of explained to her what happened, and she immediately started to cry, and she was like, well, what if that happens to my brother? Like a little kid, like she has to be like 7 or 8, like a little kid. And she has that thought. Her brother has to be like JR's age, like 12 or 13. Which is really scary and sad that now, not only is it our trauma as millennials, it's our grandparents' trauma, it's our great-grandparents' trauma, it's our children's trauma. So it's like never-ending trauma for us all.
No, I think that's what you're saying is absolutely true. one of the things that you just said is that it's not just it's our parents' trauma, it's our kids' trauma, and that's one of the things that they talked about in this article too about how it's being transferred down. It literally gets passed down. So transmitted traumatic stressors, which is what they call it. It refers to the traumatic stressors that are transferred from one generation to the next. These stressors can come from historically racist sources or maybe personal traumas passed down through families and communities. Right? So it's those things where it's like you minding your business, you're a kid, you go to the store, you come home and you eating some chips, and your mom almost kills you because you had the nerve to walk through the door without a receipt. Right? And you thought everything was cool, and she's like, "Did I raise you stupid? What is your problem? Why do you think this is okay?" And you're like, well, the person in front of me didn't get a receipt. I'm trying to be green and save the planet. You know, who needs a receipt?
Just trying to get to my chips.
Just trying to get to my chips. And then your mom's telling you, hey, I know you didn't steal because I know I didn't raise a thief. But they don't know that you didn't steal. And I don't have time. I don't have time to have to be involved and try to explain something that I can't prove. So never leave without a bag and a receipt.
That is so crazy because that is totally like shared trauma. Because my mom used to always say that to me. Like, or if we were going to a store and say I had some chips already and we walk in a grocery store, she was like, put them up because they don't think you stole it.
Exactly.
It's like, they have cameras. I walked in here with this, but she was like, I don't care. Like, put it away because they're going to think you stole it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez, like, I just want to eat my snacks in the store. Can't even do that.
The snack.
Yeah, you know.
Take my purse, but not my snack.
My snack. They got to sneak my snacks in the store, like sneaking it out of my pocket, trying to eat it. But that's interesting that, you know, we have that shared sense of trauma.
And like the whole, you know, being in before the lights come on. Like, I'm pretty sure that there's that's not just a Black thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's not just a Black, community thing that we just think to do. I think that it was because if you're out here in these streets, you might not make it home.
You could get got, because that was a thing. I don't know if anybody watched Lovecraft Country, but they went over that on that show of how like when it got dark, like you needed to be on your side of the track. Like that's where that term came from, like your side of the track. And I didn't know that was a real thing either. I'm thinking like that's just parents like saying that, like, come in before the street lights come on, like whatever, because it's stranger danger outside. That's what I thought.
Yeah, because I think that although we may not necessarily get the reasoning, we definitely get, or what's passed down is the rule and how to move.
Yeah.
It's crazy because, when I was a kid, we always talk about how my mom don't spank kids and she don't do this and she don't do that. But the one time that I got in big trouble, like my mom literally spanked my butt, and I should be using other words, which I don't want nobody to lock her up.
There you go. Listen, but statute of limitations.
Not the statute of limitations, child. But no, literally, the street lights came on and I was not home.
Oh yeah, that's sad.
And my mom sent my brother out looking for me, and he came back empty-handed.
Oh yeah.
And so then she had to go out, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, you done messed up now.
I was out riding my bike.
Jesus, you done messed up, right?
Exactly. And when I tell you, she said, "Oh, you think that when I said come back when it gets dark, you just think you can be out here?" But I mean, it's because she was like, I don't know where you were. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Anything could have happened, and I wouldn't know, right?
Yes.
So that's just kind of the general Black people rule, right?
It really is.
Bring yourself home
before the street lights.
Before those street
lights. And it's before.
It's before.
Come on.
And that's how I felt. I said it. They just came on, and she said,
"I said,
oh, you don't remember the rule. Well, I'm going to teach you in a way that you will never forget."
Because I said before.
So needless to say, I didn't even go outside no more. Because why?
Because
why risk it?
You can't even hear the little buzzing of the street. Like, we just like, right, they about to come on. No, you should have been in the house. You should have even heard that. Because you should have been in.
Right.
But yeah, and that goes because again, that's that shared trauma, that thing where it's just like in the South, they had to be in the house because if you were in the wrong part of the town at dark time, you could potentially be lynched or, anything could have happened to you, which, and now, years later, like we still have that rule, like you still need to follow that rule to come in. So now it's not so much you can be lynched. Well, now it is. And the era we live in now, but you know,
Just
when we were
modern day
kids,
lynching.
for sure. I don't think they were thinking about that, but it was just crazy people outside, like come in the house because somebody might take you or kill you or stranger danger. So, but it's still that sense of shared trauma that we have to deal with. Because if those rules weren't in place due to Jim Crow or, you know, prior to that, like slavery, and I don't know if that would have been a rule. You could have just been outside, probably.
Well, we would just operate like
right, like everybody else. You're right.
We would just be home by curfew,
right?
By whatever time your mom tells you to be home. But
right.
Like, how did we all agree that when the street lights come on, that's when you need to be home? Jeez,
what? Like what? Like it was when you can see the stars. It's the street light. Like what? Y'all just pick this? The street lights? Like it ain't even street lights in Brown Deer, so I don't know when they're coming out. It's just dark.
It just gets dark out of nowhere.
But yeah, so that definitely is something that I resonate with too, that shared sense of trauma.
And then also I think like large groups of Black people together, I think that we were somehow taught that that's not okay either. Because I know even at work, you know, being one of very few, right? Like if too many of us would be together, I'd be like, y'all don't have to get away. Get away from me.
That is
this is not okay.
It
doesn't look like we're working. Now, never mind you that there could be 4 white colleagues laughing, doing whatever they doing at the water cooler, whatever. Nobody, people just walk by enjoying it and say, I heard of that movie, ha ha, and keep it moving. But you know, it's real Black people, you're not working. It doesn't look like you're being productive, blah, blah, blah. And you know, Scarlett said something about when Black people laugh, they scatter.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. That was a meme that I saw a meme of that too, because the Oscars, I guess, was yesterday or something. But you know, like some actors, they're of course all Black, but they were laughing, but then they like scattered. They was like, you see, like we do, like this is what we do. Which is again something from slavery. Like we can't all gather because it does look like we're not working. So now we about to get whipped or beat because it looked like we not doing nothing. And it's crazy because I don't know about you, but when I am in a group of other Black people and we're talking, or you know, even at work, like even though I work with all Black people in my job, but I still feel it in the pit of my stomach, like I gotta move around. Like I'm very conscious of it.
I absolutely, like literally. So I was the president of our African American Business Employee Resource Group. So this is a whole team of Black people that I'm working with, right? I used to be like, if you want to talk to me, you need to book a conference room.
Yeah,
you know, preferably one not on the executive floor, on this side. Like I used to be real particular. Like it's just crazy because it's the appearance of, you know. And even though you know what you're doing, right? And I'm having a full-blown meeting. There's an agenda. We're conducting business that you asked somebody to do. But other people are gonna walk by and say, it just doesn't just look like they're working. I don't know, there's so many of them together. And I know even when I was in high school, my mom used to get calls about my brother when we would be in the lunchroom. Like, oh, he's standing in groups with his friends. And my mom would be like, are they intimidating other kids? Are they, you know, what are they doing? And then, you know, they would just say like, oh, he's talking to the other kids. And she'd be like, well, isn't it lunchtime?
Right.
Don't call me again about my son enjoying lunch with his friends during lunchtime. But she said, is he skipping lunch? Is he skipping a class to go to someone else's lunch? Right? Is he intimidating kids at lunch? Is he stealing someone's lunch money? Tell me what my son is doing and why you keep calling me about him enjoying lunch during lunchtime. I don't understand. Well, we just wish that they wouldn't gather. Well, are the other kids that he's standing with, are they supposed to be in that lunch?
Yeah.
Okay, well then do not call me.
Right. Why are you bothering me about
exactly.
this?
But again, it's the perception of people, for whatever reason, if you put a group, and by group I mean 4, Black people together, people get really uncomfortable.
They do.
It's unsafe for some reason.
Absolutely.
Even though if you really think about it, we should be the ones who are
exactly because like you said, like white people do it too. Like they'll come to the cooler, they chit-chatting or whatever, talking about whatever they want to talk about, which is fine. Like it's talk.
It don't bother
what
me.
You do.
You know what I do? I mind my business.
Exactly. But it's so funny that they don't have that sense of I can't, it feels wrong. Like something that feels illegal, but it's not illegal. Like that feels illegal, like being Black with 4 more that we doing something
there's
wrong.
A capacity limit. You have reached you are even like, and look, my brother gonna be like, look, you just gonna tell all my stories, but like he actually picked up a girl in high school who was on the bus stop. Him and his friends saw her and said, "Oh, we'll take you." Right? We all go to the same school. They know her. They got pulled over and they kept saying that they kidnapped her, even though she kept saying, "No, they're doing me a favor, and officer, you're making me late."
Right? Like we're just trying to go to school.
Right? Exactly. But of course, she's non-black, right? So it's like, oh no, no, y'all kidnapped her.
Gotta be up to something.
Y'all up to something. It don't look right. It doesn't. It ain't safe. It doesn't look right.
That is so sad and so crazy. But again, these are shared traumas that we go through because it came from somewhere. Like we've experienced this somewhere in our ancestry, and it continues to follow us.
When I lived out in Waukesha, I used to literally ride around with my niece in my car.
Oh my God.
Literally, because, well, after about a week, I knew, number one, I moved, so I'm not going to change my address because I got pulled up way too much living in Waukesha. More than I have in my entire life.
You did.
I lived there for 6 months, and I swear I got pulled over way more than I did in my entire life. But in any case, I knew that I wasn't going to change my ID because I'm like, oh, I'm moving back. That's number one. But number two, they kept saying, what are you doing here? Where do you live? What's the address? Like, just so I used to just pull out my lease and be like, see, I just happen to have it.
Whoa, looky here.
Looky here.
Have my lease.
Just happen to have a copy of my lease statement. See how it matches my ID?
Listen.
I understand that my address on my license does not match the address that I gave you because I didn't get to change it. But looky here. Here's a full-blown lease.
Here's what it is. And if you all don't know who are listening, many of you know, you should. We've talked about this before, but Milwaukee is one of the segregated cities in the entire United States. And you know,
burn.
Wisconsin been taking L's like a bug, but that's neither here nor there. But Milwaukee is very much so segregated. And it's funny that you talked about how your brother had those things happen to him at school. Like even our schools have disparities within them.
Oh yeah.
Schools, town to town. It doesn't matter. Like it's very hard to be a Black person in the city. But yet we rise. We're here.
Like the phoenix from the ashes.
We rise. So yeah, it is different. And I guess now that I'm a little more aware of what's happening, especially with all of the things that's been happening lately in the media, not just in Wisconsin, but, you know, everywhere in this country. It's made me really look at the city to be like, wow, like it really is crazy for Black people to thrive here. And yet they do it all the time. We know so many amazing Black people who are doing amazing things in the city, but the city doesn't make it easy for them to do that either.
Yeah, and it makes you think, well, how much more could they do?
Right. You know, but exactly.
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are. We are still here. But yeah, I do want to just talk a little bit about how were you feeling? So, little backstory. We all saw last summer was tough for our country. I feel like I don't even know how I was getting through like my leadership class, because I was like, why are we keep talking about these kids in school and Black people are dying every day? But that's neither here nor there. Like I was really I was really struggling. Like every time we met as a group, I'm like, so y'all not gonna talk about what's happening in the world, because this is crazy. But you know, we all saw George Floyd essentially being lynched on video. We seen it with our own two eyes. And you know, some of us watched the video, some of us didn't. I did not watch the video because I could not see that. I think I'm still traumatized from Sandra Bland, to be honest with y'all. Like that.
You know what? That's a great point. I'm still traumatized from Trayvon Martin.
Oh my God. See?
That's crazy. It's crazy. And I think it's because by then, I think I was like 22 or 23. And so I could watch, you know, like I was an adult, you know, essentially. And I was just like, what? And then I like literally followed the whole case and got like all like just drawn into it. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe this. So I think that every single time something happens, it picks at that old one.
Yeah.
Like it's just like,
it does. Like, here we go again. Yeah. Because that's how I felt like, and that's why I couldn't watch the video of him actually dying, because I think when they showed the picture of her like in jail, like she was clearly dead in that picture. You cannot change my mind that she was not. And that picture, like, is burned in my memory. Like, I see it sometimes when I close my eyes, and I'm like, that girl was dead. And they took her picture. Like, it was okay to do that. And they already knew that they had killed her. But I said all that to say, you know, it's been a lot going on. So we saw George Floyd being murdered by the police in Minneapolis. There was a trial that happened for the one officer, so Derek Chauvin. So the couple, was that last week or so, or a couple weeks ago, that they finally came to a verdict. So Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all counts. Okay, stop there. So how did you feel? Like, what was your thoughts going on?
When I heard that he was guilty, I was like, well, first I was holding my breath because I was like, somehow, some way, I don't know. But then it was like guilty. And then, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm still not satisfied. And here's why. Number one, I want first degree charges. None of them were first degree. Why? I don't understand. Like, if you get all these warnings that you're actively killing someone and you continue to do what you're doing, I don't understand how that's not first degree. So that really bothers me that it's not first degree. I'm gonna be honest, like that. I don't. Like, I feel like second degree and third degree is going to allow for some sort of a loophole where it's going to be like, oh, and he qualifies somehow miraculously for probation. Like, I just feel like there's some sort of way where he's going to finesse and finagle his way out of accountability. And I'm never satisfied till there's accountability. You know what I mean? And not only that, but he did not appear to flinch. So, people respond to things in their own way, so I can't tell someone how to respond. But I felt like he was still confident. Like, oh, so now we're just going to move to plan B. Plan A was this, but I have a contingency plan should I need to implement plan B. And I just feel like we all took a sigh of relief, but I feel like he was already relieved. Like, I just don't feel like he's bothered.
Yeah, his face was very much so like, but I'm white. Like, I'm guilty, but I'm white.
I just feel like he won't be, I just feel like it still won't be equal. Like, there won't be equity in his punishment.
His punishment, for sure. And I totally agree with you. And a lot of people were saying it too. Like Natasha Rothwell, I think, from Insecure, was definitely like very loud and vocal about that. Like, this is not justice, this is accountability. And that's what it is. Because not even 24 hours after he was found guilty on all the charges, another person was shot by the police.
So, okay, here's the thing. There was something that was like, we interrupt the murder of such and such to tell you about the murder of such and such. We interrupt the murder of that person to tell you about a third person. We interrupt the murder of the third person to tell you about a fourth person. So I think that the reason why it's hard for me to be satisfied with it is because nothing changed.
Nothing.
Like, how is it possible that we witnessed this whole George Floyd incident and police officers are still out here acting a fool? It's almost like nothing. It's almost like it didn't even happen. Like, the world's largest protests occurred during a pandemic.
A whole pandemic.
And like, it's almost like it didn't happen. So for me, it was very hurtful to feel like George Floyd's death was in vain. You know what I mean? And not just George Floyd, but I mean, we got to look in our own backyard and talk about Joel Acevedo.
Yes.
And Alvin Cole.
Yes.
I think it was the anniversary the other day of Joel Acevedo, and actually Alvin Cole's, I believe, was in February.
And still no justice.
Exactly.
For either one of them.
For either one. So, I mean, a part of me, like I said, I don't know. And you know what? I was talking to Brittany about this. She was like, what do we want white people to do? Because whatever they do, we're not satisfied. If they call us and express their sympathy, we're not satisfied. If they post something, we're not satisfied. And I said everything. I want them to do everything. I want you to call me privately. I want you to post publicly. I want you to actively go out there and protest. I want you to talk about it behind my back. I want you to dismantle it behind my back. I want you should be the one, you're the one who can actually create change here.
And you're right.
So I want it all.
You're right.
I want socks and drawers.
I want it all.
I want it all.
And that's what it should be. Like, it's not
from the rooter to the tulip.
Okay. And I feel like that's how it always happens. It's like Black people have to pick up the pieces for this country, but it's just like, this is not a problem we created.
Read the books. I want you to do your own research. I want you to educate each other. I want you to implement all the programming. You know what? I want you to stop outsourcing D&I to disenfranchised groups in these Fortune 500 companies and put it on the back of you. Why are you making other employees do this work for free when you should be doing it yourself? I want real accountability. I want change. So until then, I'm just not satisfied.
Exactly. We can't be, and we cannot be satisfied. And I think for so long, that's kind of what's been happening to Black people. That it's just been pacified or mandated. You hear Malcolm X was talking about that a lot. Like, you could somebody can stab you in the back and they can pull the knife out a little bit and we'll say, well, I helped you, but the knife is still there.
I feel like
what
America is doing, how when you dating a trifling dude and he does the bare minimum so that you won't break up with him and to act like there's progress, but there's never change.
There's never change.
It's just like, oh, you said you need this or you want this, so I'm going to do it just a little bit for a little while.
Yeah.
So I feel like when somebody dies, they send out these statements.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then, somebody dies again, and then it's like, we're going to have a D&I training.
Right.
And then it's like,
Black person.
Exactly.
Like,
right?
What?
Exactly. Or like, it's like these things, or there's, everyone commits, all these organizations commit to a plan.
Yeah.
But it's really the last thing on the list. Like, it's really not prioritized. Nothing changes. And so, and I think it's a part of it is because it's hard to change if there's no problem. And I think that because a lot of times non-Black people, I shouldn't say this, but white people are not directly impacted. Why would I change?
Right.
Yeah. If you're telling me, Chanel, that I'm hurting you, unless I'm really empathetic and just care, I don't need to change.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to.
I don't need
Are you going to keep working for me?
Absolutely.
Are you going to keep doing all this stuff? You're going to complain about it every other month, every quarter.
But you'll be here.
When I kill one of your people.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, there's really nothing you can do about it. So if I'm not really being hurt, then, do I have to change?
And that's true. And why would I disassemble something that's working for me? Like, I'm not going to tear that up.
It's you.
Right.
It works for me.
Like, all of this is in benefit of me. That's the root of all of this. Like, how can we ever have real change when the foundation of this country is just that? Like, it works for the people that it works for, and it does not work for the people that it doesn't work for. And I feel like that's where we've been.
If it works for the majority,
yeah. And that's where we've been since we were brought to this country against our will. So yeah, there's that. But I agree to how you felt. I was on pins and needles that whole day. Like, they kept saying, okay, well, the verdict's going to be read at this time. And then they pushed it back. Like, it's going to be read at this time.
Second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and manslaughter.
All of those are all BS charges. All of them. We seen it on video.
Second-degree murder.
And what is second? Let's define secondary. Because again, this tells a lot about how this country feels about Black bodies. To me, that's what it says.
Second-degree murder is generally defined as intentional murder that lacks premeditation. It is intended to only cause bodily harm and demonstrates an extreme indifference to human life. The exact legal definition of this crime will vary by jurisdiction. But if we look at first-degree murder, which is what I think this is, but who am I, right? Right. It's just my opinion.
Hey.
First-degree murder is the most serious of all homicide offenses. It involves an intentional murder that is willful and premeditated with malice afterthought. Premeditation requires that the defendant planned the murder before it was committed or was lying in wait for the victim. Now, here's why I think it's first degree. Everyone told you you're killing him. People called your boss and made complaints. You had, I don't know how many people this was a slow day. You pulled a man out from the back of the car who said he couldn't breathe in the back of the vehicle. You forced him to the ground and you intentionally cut off his air pipe.
After he was already handcuffed and everything.
Exactly, for no reason. So I don't understand why we don't think that this was intentional and why we don't think that it was premeditated. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that he said, I'm gonna go kill George Floyd today.
Yeah.
But I do think that when he had him down on the ground, I think he was like, I don't care if he dies. If he died, he died. And I'm gonna stay here until he died.
Yes, I agree with that.
I think that he literally was laying there in wait until he died.
Yeah, he was like, if he dies, he dies. And the fact
he called out for help. He said he couldn't breathe. Yeah. So if someone is telling you you're crushing them, they can't breathe, and then they die, I don't understand how that's not first degree.
I don't either. And then you have your hands in your pocket, which clearly tells me you don't give a whole F about this man's life as he's screaming out telling you he can't breathe. You got your hands in your pocket with a smug look on your face. Like,
so first degree murder, so some examples, right, is like the killing of a child by use of unreasonable force. Don't you think that was unreasonable force?
That was unreasonable force. Absolutely.
Right. The murder of a law enforcement officer is considered first degree. Just throwing that out.
That's interesting, right? You kill a cop, that's first degree automatically.
Violent crimes, robbery, rape, things like that. Blah, blah, blah. But again, it's supposed to be deliberate. It's supposed to be willful. It's supposed to be including or inflicting torture pursuant to a certain penal code, use of destructive device or explosive or weapon of mass destruction or poison. So obviously, it's not a weapon of mass destruction, but it was willful. It was deliberate, and it was inflicting torture. And people kept saying, "You're killing him." He said, "You're gonna kill me." He said, "I can't breathe." He said he couldn't breathe. He was in the back of the car. You didn't need to be on him at all. So I don't understand. And then somebody had the nerve to tell me that he said that he was distracted by the people telling him that he was going to kill him, that he killed him. And I said,
what?
I just can't. I just can't. And you know what? I won't.
That was a part of the defense.
That's apparently so, child.
Like, sir, he wasn't even listening to nobody. We saw it on tape. Like, I don't get how you can. We watched the video, like we synced it, bro.
So I think that there are certain incidences where you can predict the outcome, right? Like when people do certain things, and this is why accountability is so important, right? Like when you can predict the outcome, and you might not be able to predict the exact outcome, but you know that it's a possibility. I think that you should be accountable for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if someone's screaming out and saying, "Can't breathe, you heard me here, can't do it," and then someone says, "I can't breathe," that means that I'm restricting their air, which means that they could die, right? Because you need to breathe to live.
It's a part of living.
So, I don't know, child.
I just, this qualified immunity and, police officers believing that they don't have to obey the law is the part of this that continues to kill me. And, if they were both regular people, like he wasn't an officer and he did that to him, like, I'm pretty sure that would have been a first degree. Like, you murdered this man. It's all about that officer title. And I'm sure if the roles were reversed and, George was the officer and Derek was the person that died, like, it would have been huge. Like, you going to jail, this is first degree. Like, we don't even got to question this.
Yeah. Someone, maybe it was my cousin Corey, I don't know, somebody sent me a video where white people were actually banging things on the police cars while the police were in the car, trying to like break the windshield, calling out to them, threatening them and everything, and nothing happened.
Absolutely. I watched the video too of this guy got pulled over. He's in a red pickup truck, got pulled over on the side of the road. The sheriffs are like, "Get out the car." He like, "I'm not getting out my car." They like, "Get out the car." He like, "No, I'm not getting out." He puts his hand, he has a gun in his car. He's like, "Well, I got a concealed weapon." He puts his hand on his gun. The officers are still like, "Get out the car." Like, calm, like, "Get out." Like, no. He like, "No, I'm not getting out." So then they like tussle for the gun back and forth. And then he like, "No, I'm about to, like, I'll shoot you." Like, "No, I'm not getting out my car." And then he drives off.
Oh, I think I saw it.
He's still alive today. Like, what?
He's our guest on next week's.
You're right. Listen, we didn't find that man. Like, how did you escape that alive? Is it because you're white? Yes. So and we see so many, we could go all day.
Like if the dude was like, he'd be like, "No, sir."
What?
Girl, I just feel like when black people encounter the police, we just go right back to slavery.
We
like,
do.
No, sir. What are you doing on this side of town? "No, sir. I just live over here, sir. Don't mind me, sir."
Listen, that shared trauma, man. But we see so many,
right?
Girl. we see so many instances of that where, you know, we could do this tit for tat, like, look, white person did this, but we know we cannot do what white people do. Like, we know
But
that, and it's
thing.
not fair.
I agree. I think that we already know that we cannot do what white people do. And so I think that what's amazing is that when we, because they be doing the most sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
Like stuff that I'm just like, why would you even think to do this? Oh my, right? Because you're inciting violence.
Girl.
But then there's times where it's like, okay, but he didn't do anything. And here we are.
Here we go.
Here we are. And then too, it's like, I think that what happens is, because a lot of people say, why didn't you comply? Why didn't you comply? And I'll say this, right? Because there was a day where I got pulled over twice by the police officers
one day
when I lived out in Waukesha. And the officer just would not tell me why. Why are you pulling me over? And I feel like, you know, I was getting upset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you was on the phone.
I definitely was. I was like, no, keep me on. Yeah.
Get your inside voice.
Girl.
But no, I think it's because it's like, why is it that you think that you just get to inconvenience me and incite this type of behavior, but I'm just supposed to remain calm? Like, it's a reasonable expectation that if I request to know why you pulled me over, that you have a justified reason for pulling me over.
Yeah.
You don't get to just get all my information, make me answer all these questions. Are you my daggone mama and I'm a grown ass woman?
Right.
So you need to explain to me why it matters to you where I'm going, where I'm coming from, and where I live if you don't have a reason for pulling me over. I'm minding my business.
That's the thing. But that's and we all know the start of police and sheriffs and things like that. I mean, it started as slave catching is what it was. So it's like that foundation and that tradition of the work that they do was never really to protect and serve Black people. It was to protect and serve white people and the property that they have. And that's exactly what they do.
And they do. So I think that that's exactly it, right? Is that it's so deeply rooted in their system, in their brotherhood and everything else, that it is. I think that that's why they continue to act the way that they do.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just like, we gotta defund it or something. Like, something's got to change, because it right now. Last summer I was really scared. Like, all right, it's gonna be like a civil war or something. Like, this is just crazy.
For sure. I can't lie. I was like, you know what?
I felt it.
It's actually gonna happen.
I was like, I thought it was gonna happen.
We're on the cusp. Like, we're literally right there. We're right there.
And I feel like we getting there. Like, every time another Black person, man, woman, child gets killed by the police, we are so sick of it. Like, we're tired. Every day it's a new hashtag. Every day it's a new video to watch of somebody else being murdered. And it's just like, come on. And then Congress and the president, they aren't doing anything. Like, there hasn't been any bills passed to protect Black people. You know, like, this is like,
now we're gonna outlaw lynching,
girl,
in 2020. Like, oh, okay, thanks.
I don't know. Biden signed something like, we gonna recognize the Armenian genocide. What? Joe, stop playing with us. Joe, stop playing with us. Like, what does that have to do with anything that we doing right now? Don't get me wrong, to the Armenian people, that's really sad that there was a genocide. However, this don't got nothing to do with what we doing right now in your own America. What are we talking about, Joe? Like, I am so sick of the blatant disregard to Black people and Black bodies.
If you do this, this is the punishment, period.
It has to be.
If you kill somebody,
period,
this is the charge.
This is what you go to jail.
Like, all these loopholes. I'm like, look now, really, second and third degree.
It's so many whose cases are now trying to be reopened. Like, Tamir Rice's mom has requested that, you know, his case get reopened. Breonna Taylor still hasn't gotten justice, and they're trying to get that back going. So it's just like, what is happening? Like, at this point, it is really scary, because I'm sure, you know, all of these families didn't think it could happen to them. Dante right now, I'm sure his parents didn't think, oh, well, the police don't kill my son. Or, you know, the young lady, Ma'Khia Bryant, I'm sure her family wasn't like, well, the police don't kill my daughter. Like, people don't have that thought, but it's happening so frequently. It really is like, can my son be next? Can my son's father be next? You know, this is getting crazy.
Can you be next?
Can I be next? Right. Like, it ain't even just guys. It's crazy.
Like, and you know, for third degree, that one is really manslaughter.
Which is crazy.
Eligible for probation. So Here you have it.
It's so stupid when people are literally in prison for life for selling drugs.
For selling weed.
For selling weed.
That's been legalized in certain parts of the world.
Like, make it make sense, because I don't understand. Like, it's people literally that's been in jail for 20, 30, 40, 50 years for selling weed, for having weed on, not even selling it, for having it on them. And now that's like $1 million, $1 billion revenue. Is weed. Like, what?
That you're suggesting it's split among the drug dealers? I'm just playing.
Listen, hey, listen. At this point, I definitely purchased some stock in some weed company, because I'm like, at this point, like, we all can make money off of this, but it is ridiculous that people are in jail for that, for the same thing that people are making money off of today.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When all they was trying to do was make money. Like, this is what I'm trying to do.
All they was trying to do is make money.
I'm trying to make a living. And this right here is gonna help me make a living. So, because that's what people are doing now. Like, it's all kind of companies that sell like weed brownies and all kinds of this delivery services. Uber is in partnership with. They're Uber. About to get in partnership with doing like weed deliveries and carriers. So it's just like, come on now, people just trying to live. And I knew that was gonna happen. Even when I was younger, like, they're going, like, weed ain't gonna be like illegal, because they're gonna find a way to tax it.
Where it's about to be like cigarettes. You're gonna be like, can I get weed in a box at 100? Like, what?
Listen, shout out to Keith. Keith was telling me, like, they have carrier services in LA. So you can order your weed online and they deliver
Newport
to you.
Is about to pick up weed, okay?
And they wouldn't be wrong if they should. Like, get your weed 100 long slims
in a box. In a box. That is crazy.
Because this country, but anything that, you know, Black people are trying to do to make a better life for themselves or to succeed, this country finds a way to keep us down.
I don't know if we're going to call selling drugs succeeding.
Well, no. Not selling drugs. But I mean, like I said, white people sell weed probably more than Black people now at this point, to be honest with you. Like, the dispensaries.
Yes, they just call it cannabis.
They call it, right. They call it cannabis and they call it dispensaries. These dispensaries look like the Apple Store.
They do. They do.
Like, it's ridiculous. Now, you know, hey, we should have thought of that too a long time ago. But again, they would have been like, no, y'all can't do this. Y'all making too much money. And a Black person who has too much power, that's a threat to this country. So it's just crazy. It's so crazy. And it's a lot. And my emotions have been all over the place, and you know.
So tell us about the young lady, because to be honest, I haven't been able to watch. I haven't been able to really read up on it, because I'm a little bit behind in my Black killing, so I'm not all the way up to date, because I have to take time to digest one of them at a time. So
Jesus. So Ma'Khia Bryant was 16 years old. So it's like reports coming out now as stuff starts to kind of unfold. But what happened was she was at home, and apparently some girls came to her house to jump her. So she called the police because she was like, okay, they're here to fight me. Like, I'm scared. But then I think it was her dad or somebody came, and she felt like, okay, well, I can go outside. Like, I'm going to go face them. But the police, and they were there. So allegedly, because again, all these reports are coming out, who knows what's what, but allegedly the girls were actually grown women. They were saying that these women were 28. They were previous, like, foster people that lived in this foster house, because Ma'Khia was a foster child as well. So they all lived in this house. So an argument started and the older women were saying that Ma'Khia was dirty. Like, her room was dirty. She wasn't keeping her room clean. So that's why all of this started.
With a dirty room.
Right. Okay. Go figure. Just listen, I'm 34 and my room is questionable from time to time. I should be like, bro, you live like this? Like, this is crazy. But in any case, so, you know, they're outside, like, fighting and arguing. It's plenty grown people outside. Now, this is to the extent of the video that I saw. I did not see when the officer actually pulled the trigger, shot her, she falls down and she's dead. I cannot watch that. I won't watch it. But I did see, like, there was a bunch of people outside. There were police officers there. So the police officer pulls up, and Ma'Khia is actually, like, in mid-swing, like, she had a knife in her hand, and she's swinging at the girl with the knife in her hand. The officer immediately shoots her. Like, didn't ask no questions, didn't get up-to-date, like, what's going on, like, nothing. Like, immediately gets out his car, pop, 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 4 times in the chest. So she dies immediately. And, you know, now, like I said, it's all these reports coming out of what really happened and what started the fight between them. And allegedly, they were saying that these were grown women that came to fight her. And she called the police because she was scared. And, you know, she had a knife because she was trying to protect herself. These grown women came to jump her, allegedly, is what happened. In any case, it doesn't even matter if she had a knife, if people came to jump her. I don't think that officer should have did that. Like, it's so much shoot first and ask questions later. Like, I don't even understand that mentality. Like, I get it, you want to disarm her. She has a weapon. She's in full motion of swinging. But I know, I'm not an officer, but I know there are other tactics that they could have used to defuse that situation. It has to be
a nice tackle.
Something, because I'm an educator. I work in schools. I've seen fights at school. I've seen teachers, teachers' aides, custodians, all kind of people de-escalate fights of kids who had weapons, whether it was a knife, padlock, whatever they had. People in schools are doing that. And they're diffusing the situation. But you're gonna tell me a cop could not do that? His first instinct was to shoot not once or twice, but 4 times in the chest.
4 times does sound very excessive.
It's crazy to me. And I get it. And there's been arguments on both sides. Like, people was like, well, if it was your daughter about to get stabbed, like, you would have wanted her to. No, I don't want anybody to be shot. Like, I get it. And I've been there too with people fighting. My sister used to fight all the time. And my sister is one of them. She gonna get a weapon. If she don't got nothing else, I'm going on with a weapon. My sister has been in plenty fights with knives, whatever she can find. Would have wanted my sister to be shot 4 times by the police because she was fighting? Like, no, nobody wants that. Because I'm pretty sure it was a better way for him to defuse that situation. And not only him, but there were other police officers out there. So nobody is trying to break this fight up. So y'all all standing there watching.
Right. I mean, you know, obviously I'm not there and I have not watched it, right? Because again, I'm like 2 murders behind. I'm trying to digest those and I need my time.
Girl, take your time because it's crazy.
It sounds chaotic.
It was.
Right? And so it sounds like you have to be able to use a lot of discernment and identify the immediate threat and somehow de-escalate that. I don't. Would the teacher use a gun if they had one?
Listen, here, I'm definitely not for it. It'll be so many shootings at school if teachers had guns.
But I mean, I do think that it's very concerning that you have an adult that's looking to jump or fight a minor. That is very alarming. And then if you have so many adults present, why do you even need the police? Why are grown women and men even engaging in this drama? Like, this is crazy.
That's the part that gets me all the time.
Why are there this many adults and yet these 2 girls have knives trying to fight each other? That's very alarming. That means that as a community we failed these girls too.
Absolutely we did.
You know, like, yeah, the police did, and I agree. Like, 4 shots is very, maybe a warning shot in the air, like, hey, I mean business. I said, put that knife down, boom, boom, straight in the air. Yeah. Right, or maybe even tackle her.
Yeah, right? Something. Taser her, rubber bullet,
all of that. But,
something.
But yeah, it does seem very weird that, you know, 4 times, that means you were shooting to kill.
Yeah. And I've never shot a gun, so there's that part. But I feel like I'm not an officer either. But I feel like an officer, they know how to shoot. You shoot once, okay, good, you got it. Like, I shot you 1 time, okay, I'm disarming you. You gonna fall to the ground, whatever.
Well, why ain't nobody shooting at nobody's feet? How about that?
Well, you know, the because I've been trying to listen to everybody's side. They shoot to kill.
But that's a problem.
It is.
Why are we shooting to kill?
Which is crazy because I was listening to the Breakfast Club this morning and Charlamagne brought up a good point. I don't know if it was Charlamagne or Envy or somebody, but they was like, the Secret Service don't do that. Like, you know, the Secret Service are to protect the president, but if somebody has a gun, they roll up to the president, they not shooting that person to kill him. They never do that. They apprehend that person or they de-escalate the situation. Like, if you ever, like, there's been so many people run up on, like the dude who threw the shoe at George Bush. Like, he didn't die. They apprehended him.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that there's a problem if we're training people to shoot to kill. I think that alone is a big problem.
And
right?
it's not even it's shoot to kill Black people, apparently, because it's definitely not nobody else. Black and brown people, excuse me, let me say that, because it's the 13-year-old boy in Chicago. Like, this is crazy.
See, and so that's where I stopped. I was like, okay, I've had my Black killings for the week. I can't do anymore. I will need to revisit this perhaps next month. I don't know. When I have more room on my agenda for this type of nonsense.
Crazy.
But I don't know. I just I think that there's a problem when we're training people to shoot to kill.
Especially when they claim they're so scared.
Problem when your instinct is to pull a trigger 4 times. I think that it's a problem when you have a whole community of people of your own race who are engaging in a way where this problem hasn't subsided. You know what I mean? Where whatever the situation was, a dirty room, girl, bye, who cares? Whatever. Or even if it was something more serious, like, dude, if we have to get, and I think that alone is a problem among women, period, right? Is like, I got to get you back.
Yeah.
I got to hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm hurt. So let me inflict pain on you.
Absolutely.
To the point where I'm going to grab a knife. Like, I feel like as women, we stab people in the back figuratively all the time. And now you want to actually get a knife. Like, that is crazy. Yeah. And I mean, I understand the 16-year-old, if you feel like somebody's going to jump you, then hey, you
want to protect yourself.
But why go outside?
Hey, those are all the and I can say that too, but I've seen that though. Like, I've seen my sister do this so many times. Like, about to get jumped, like she grabbed a knife. Like, I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. There is no rhyme or reason. I'm mad and I don't care. Like, people get that angry where it's just like, nah, like, I'm so mad, like, I want to kill you.
But when we get that mad, now we have to deal with the impact.
You got to.
Mad, now we got somebody who will never come back.
Absolutely.
Something that we have to accept and live with. And this is what you caused, right? Did anybody intend for this girl to die? No, but that is the impact of all these things, of no accountability, of nobody saying, hey,
yeah, nobody did.
I'm gonna break this up. I don't know what y'all doing, but what?
Nobody did.
Crazy.
Not the people that lived in that house, not the other officers that were on the scene prior to the officer that took the shot.
You know what bothers me is that, and maybe this is a thing where we just don't see it, but I would think that if I were an officer and I actually, there are officers who've been on their entire lives and never pulled the trigger. So like, I just feel like if I actually killed somebody, like if I was that officer that shot that girl 4 times, I would need so much therapy.
Yeah.
Because I would be like, I killed somebody's baby, I killed somebody's sister, I killed a minor, I killed somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that wouldn't sit right in my spirit, in my soul.
Yeah.
That was the way that I responded to this situation when she called me for help.
Yeah.
If you call me for help and I actually do more harm than good, I don't know if that could settle well with me.
But that's, you have a very like empathetic heart too. Now again, and I don't know this guy. I'm always trying to find the good in people, but some of these white officers are so clueless, and they're policing neighborhoods that they don't come from. They have no understanding. So for me, it's just like, do you understand Black people and Black bodies? Because if you don't have any care for them, then it's not gonna matter to you. I can go to sleep at night because I don't value your life. And that's what so many of these white officers do.
I accidentally killed this lady's dog. I hit it with my car and ran out into the street. I don't like dogs. I don't care about pets in general, but I care that you care about your pet. You know what I mean? When that lady, she's like, oh, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, what can I do to make this right? Like, number one, your dog shouldn't have been in the street, but I do wish that I didn't hit it. Right. I value your dog's life because you do. Yeah. I don't gotta get it. I don't understand pets, specifically dogs. You know what I mean? Like,
dang, let me lock my dog up. You go protect my dog.
Listen, protect my dog. Down the police. Okay, whatever. I mean, my dad got 2 dogs, right? And I told you when they was on vacation, they was like, oh, can you come by feed it? Yep, but I hope your dog don't expect pets.
Right.
I'm not petting it. I'm putting out water and food. And every time I come over, the dogs want to run up to me, and I'm like, I'm not going to engage with you. You know that. It's been how many years?
Don't even like you.
We know that I'm not the one.
say that.
Especially the little one, she would just come and just sit her little butt on my feet. This one time she jumped in my lap and I got right up. I said, now you know you didn't cross the line.
So you know you done messed up, right?
But I respect that those are your pets.
Yeah.
I respect that. I will give them, again, it will be minimum requirements. Because I personally don't give a damn
about no dog.
But I do care that you care.
Yeah.
I care that you care. So and I don't have to you don't have to understand everything.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You just have to be kind, be a human being.
And that's all we ask.
Okay, just because I don't like dogs, you think I'm about to take their dog out in the back and shoot it?
Yeah.
Starve it? Like, no. This is ridiculous.
And essentially that's all we're asking as Black people. Just, care about our life. Like life is, you don't get to make that choice whether we live or die. And it's been so much. And again, the police officer in Ohio, I don't know his background. They haven't said much about this officer. But some of these other ones, Derek Chauvin, the lady who killed Dante Wright and said she mistaked her taser for her gun for a taser, like, to me,
that's the last one that I'm actually on. That's where I am in my Black feeling. That's the one that I have to keep watching because I'm like, how did he get here? I don't understand. But how did you really? My whole theory on that is that she did a psychological Freudian slip. Mm-hmm. You know how when people accidentally say the thing that they meant to say, but they meant to like cover it up and use a word that was more appropriate. Mm-hmm. I think that she meant to kill him psychologically, but she knew that wasn't acceptable. Yeah. So she was like, "Oh, I'm a taser." I'm
gonna say that I want.
But her first mind was, "I'm gonna kill this Black person," and so that's what she did because she was talking to the trainees and she was saying he's a criminal, he's this, he's that, and then that's when she put out the gun and killed him. Yeah. So she did holler taser, but
her subconscious wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
So there's that. Which is,
and I'm like, dude, if people run, let them run. You know their address, you got their license plate. Let them go. Because in my mind, it's like because now you have to be responsible for the accidents, how you rip up these streets, how you cause people to drive into trees and other cars and head-on collisions with innocent bystanders. Like, why are we doing this? Yeah, let them go.
I'm definitely not chasing nobody. Right,
let them go.
Yeah, let them go. Okay, I don't chase nobody. Like, not my dog.
And then charge them. Add on to the charges. Okay, you want to run? You want to flee? Exactly. Would you like a fleeing charge? Okay, cool.
Exactly. Like that's all you got to do. So it's just been crazy.
Look, that's why I'm not an officer, because I would be a whole different time. I'd be like, look, I'm just going to let you know now. Look, if you flee, I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, go.
That's too much work.
I got to run with all this stuff on?
Look,
no.
Okay.
No thanks.
I have on my cute officer.
Right. I'm a cute officer.
I'm a cute officer today. I don't have time for this. So, I mean, unless you're causing an immediate threat, I'm not going to chase you. I'm just going to continue to pile on the charges. And boy, when we catch you, you will be down.
You go to jail.
The count.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Dot pass and go. You going right to
not collect them $200. That's all that
just
is.
So we clear. But yeah, if we had more officers that thought like that. But again, it's the
girl. They would never allow. They would be like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
Because I would tell them like, I'm not running after you.
They got to do all this paperwork now. But the not valuing of Black bodies. There's been far too many of simple things like that. They're just doing too much. So it's been a lot, man. So protect your peace, protect what you see. All of these videos, I don't watch them. Well, again, I was very traumatized from seeing Sandra Bland in that picture. And I just cannot continue to watch Black people die. And it's so funny because at this point, there's all these shows too about like Black trauma, and I can't watch this no more either. Like I after watching them, I'm so done with Black trauma on TV.
Yeah. So like I was like, I'm gonna watch bad TV, right? Because I need to like disengage my mind with real life stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna watch Housewives of Atlanta, and it was like pandemic this and Black Lives That, and I was like, oh no. So then I'm gonna watch Basketball Wives, right? And then it was like Kobe Bryant dying this and pandemic that. And then I forgot that one of the ladies on there, one of the reality stars, her brother was killed by the police.
Oh,
so I was
my
like,
God.
oh my God.
Can't even watch TV.
So then I was like, Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, no, you can't watch Grey's because that's all they're talking about.
That's all that they're talking about. So then I was like, okay, what does one do? And where does one go? Because there's no relief.
None. It's everywhere. Gray's got it bad. Like, I want to write Shonda Rhimes a letter. Like, you got to chill now. Like, you're traumatizing us over. Like, we already lived through the
I cry every episode.
Girl. I'm like, no, like
So then I have to watch like a clip of Wild 'N Out,
girl,
to bring myself back.
Gotta laugh.
Gotta,
Shit, I be watching cartoons. Like, I would just watch Rugrats and Doug.
My stepmom be watching cartoons. She's like, look, I don't need no extra.
No, I can't handle
Nothing
it.
extra.
I'm watching cartoons.
We're doing cartoons.
I be watching That's So Raven. Like, I'm like, I gotta take it back. Like, I can't even watch TV.
Well, we just gonna go to just do all the 90s shows, just to reset,
That's all we can do. I watched the Jamie Foxx show, like the whole series. Like, I can't watch stuff because it's too traumatic, man. So
I be watching Judge Faith, and they're actually older episodes, but every now and again they be like, and Judge, can you believe that she threatened me as a black man? She threatened me with the police. Like, literally, that's what they be saying. I be like,
so sad.
This was in 2013. Like,
it's never ending. Man, it's so ridiculous. But just protect yourself. I've been definitely trying to protect my peace for sure. Because it's a lot. It's a lot in this world. And, if you have young children, talk to them. Keep it real with them about what's happening. Because I sure be having conversations with my son. Like, look, this is what it is. You're a black man in this world. Like, the more you know, son.
Yeah, I don't understand how shouts out to the moms who lost their son.
I can imagine.
Because I don't know how they even want to do that, knowing that this is the word. Because I think that, like, if I was in trouble, I don't know if I would actually call the police.
No, because now we can't.
There's too many instances too where black people have called the police and they actually came and apprehended them.
Yeah.
Like, there was one story where somebody called the police and then a black man in the building went outside to take out his trash, and like he just got apprehended randomly. He's like, I'm just trying to take out my trash. Like, and then I think there was like a security guard who called the police and apprehended somebody. Yeah. And he was holding down a white man, and they came and tackled him even though he's in uniform and he's the one who made the call. Like, it's just too much. Like, we're just automatically just targeted. It's just crazy.
That literally just happened too. Was it in Virginia where the police had given this guy a ride because he couldn't get in his car or something? They come back to his house because he calls the police because his brother wouldn't let him and his mom to get his keys. And the police show up to his house and mistake his phone for a gun. They shoot him 10 times. This just happened too. The police, that same officer had just given him a ride to this house.
The same officer?
Yes. It's so crazy. It's so crazy that you have to laugh because the shit is just so crazy.
Yeah, I think that laughing is...
that's definitely my mechanism.
Like, that's totally a black defense mechanism.
It absolutely is mine. For sure. I use it all the time. Because it's just so ridiculous that you shoot somebody 10 times, though. Like, that's excessive. 10.
How many rounds is even in this gun? That's what I want to know. How did you get to 10? Did you have 2?
Like,
because you double fisted shot this man. Like, what is this?
They shot him 10 times. I don't think he died. I think he's still fighting for his life. But 10.
Girl, that reminded me of Jacob Blake. Jeez.
Crazy, right? Crazy.
Wow.
And then they give you these settlements, but it's just like, why are citizens paying for police mistakes? Like, y'all did this.
Okay, so there may be 6, 7, or possibly 17 rounds. Okay, I'm like, how did we do this?
Jeez, that's still a lot. Like, you almost emptied your whole clip on one person.
Yeah, dude said, I'm gonna get. That's probably what he had left. He was like, I'm just gonna give you
got these 10
because
shot something earlier. But it's ridiculous. So man.
Wow.
We got to talk about these things to, so you can gauge how you're feeling.
So what are you doing to protect your peace? How do you reset and just clear your mind and not let it overtake you to the point where you start to get or develop your own prejudice against white people?
That's a good question. So for me, it's just about like loving on my family, especially my son and my nephew, like letting them know they're loved and they're appreciated and things like that. But just talking to them in a way that it's not like, well, all white people are like this, or you can't trust all white people. Like, I never frame it that way, but I do.
I'm just playing.
my son, you know, make sure your girlfriend look like your mama, but that's a different story. But no, I want to keep it real with them too, to letting them know, like, you know, this is what's happening in the world, and I need you to be aware. But then, you know, they ultimately have to make their own decisions about how they feel. My nephew and my son both went to schools where it was predominantly white kids. So they know how to maneuver well in that group. But I'm always telling them, like, have respect for yourself, like, be, you know, the person that I raised you to be in those settings as well. And letting them know that you're unapologetically Black too. Wear your do-rag. Be comfortable in the skin that you're in, even when you're in spaces that, you know, you're the only one. So letting them know that they can feel comfortable wherever they are. But definitely not trying to have this hatred, because that's not gonna get us nowhere. We can't hate white people. Like, that's only going to hurt you. So
yeah.
Definitely just trying to tell them what's real, and letting them have the discernment and making their own decisions eventually about, you know, the encounters that they have with white children and white people.
Yeah, I think that before, I think as a people, we created a bunch of rules to prevent stuff like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't be in large groups.
Yeah.
Come in before the lights come on. You know, don't sag your jeans. Don't wear the hoodie. Wear the button up with the sweater over it.
Mm-hmm.
If you look like a professional, wear your blazer, right?
Yeah.
You know, show that you are, you know, like, try to let them know that you're not who they just assume that you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this and you're doing that. But then it's like, none of that matters. You know?
It don't.
You know, like when that one guy, he was trying to help one of his patients, and he was dressed in his, you know, button up shirt and all of that, and looked like a professional, and they still was shooting at him. Like,
crazy.
You know. And then it was like that one dude who was like a Harvard grad or whatever, and all, you know, he had all of these esteemed titles, but it's never enough.
It's never enough.
It's just never enough, because at the end of the day, I was about to say, you just an N-word in a suit. So
basically,
here I go.
Listen, Hov told us, like, listen.
But yeah, I think what I try to do is only digest what I can.
Yeah.
Like, when it's too much, I'll be like, so we're taking the social media break because I can't deal with that today. Got my own stuff going on, and then I have to think about this. The things that are already in the back of my mind have to come to the forefront right now. Not today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta protect your peace now more than ever. And shout out to everybody that does, like, the mental health work, those who, you know, do the energy work and the crystal work, because I feel like all of that stuff is so necessary right now to take care of yourself.
It is. And then, you know, just trying to appreciate people while they're here, you know, because just like they could die from police brutality, it could also be COVID, it could also be anything. So you just want to love on people and, you know, let them know that they're valued and appreciated, you know. You can't get time back.
Okay. Never.
You can't get people back, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long.
Like, can you imagine someone's obituary who's 16, who was murdered by the police? Like, what?
What is it even? What does your obituary say?
Like, this is ridiculous.
She was born, she went to high school, she was lovable. Like, that's a short obituary.
Yeah. Like, this.
She gave herself to Jesus, because they always say that.
Right. At the tender age of knowing that they been in church since.
Well, they went to church one time, but they always have that in there. She gave her life to Christ.
Choir. No, I'm joking. We just trifle. See, you got to throw in
a little bit.
You got to throw it in. You got to sprinkle it in there, child.
Just a little bit. But yeah, so that's so sad. And a 13-year-old little dude too. Like, he's 13. Like, my son will be 13 this year.
Woo.
I cannot even imagine getting a call. Like,
yeah, and that's one thing that I remember is, like, every year my mom getting more and more restrictive of what my brother could do.
Yeah.
Like, just, you know, because it's like you're getting older and you're more and more retarded. So I gotta just, you know,
Yeah, it's just
friends. You ain't going out with friends.
Listen.
What do you think you are, white?
Right.
Hang out with friends.
Right. What is this? Y'all go somewhere alone?
Do you think that you're gonna drive
out here? No.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah. No thanks.
Be back by 8. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stuff?
Before the street lights come on, good right.
You 18 years old.
Can't go nowhere.
Prom. Oh heck no. Over my dead body.
But that's the play of the Black mama, man. I don't think nobody understands Black mamas. Because that's so much to deal with on your mind, like, all the time. And like you said, and now it's not even just your sons, it's your daughters, too. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. One thing that I learned, though, is that when I am driving in my car, I should not wear a hat because they think I'm a guy and they will definitely pull me over.
They're gonna pull you over.
That's one thing that I have learned for sure at night.
Yeah.
Now, I could wear my hat in the daytime,
but not at night.
In my own car, but not at night.
Jeez.
Because they will pull me over.
Right. Think I'm a boy.
They think I'm a man.
So bad.
Because they can't see the hair, you know?
Crazy. Oh, Jesus.
All right. So what are we taking away?
Oh, man. Just protect your peace. And it's not only just, you know, what you see on social media, but like everything. And I think I've been very conscious of that. Like when I'm listening to in the car, when I'm watching on social media, when I'm watching on TV, like just really conscious of what I put into my body. Because my mind can't distinguish like what's fictional stuff and what's real stuff that's happening. Like it's all very traumatic. And I was watching some real crazy stuff. Like watching that show then, I wish I could not watch it. In my like I wish I could take unwatch it. Yeah, like I wish I could take that show out of my brain and not watch it no more.
And that's crazy because you kept telling me you really should watch them. Give me your phone. Let me bring it up. See, this is the no.
I'm glad you didn't.
And
watch
I haven't done it yet because I'm scared.
Because you gonna be like, WTF? Like, why would she have me watch this? Like, don't watch it because that was very traumatic. And for what? Like, why did y'all make this? Like, why? This is fake, but my body don't know the difference. So now I'm just holding on to that trauma of watching that show, which is ridiculous. Yeah. So that's what I'm taking away, just protecting, you know, what I pour into my body, because it stays with you. And you be like, why do I feel like this? Because you was watching them shows about slavery and stuff. Like, nah.
Yeah. I think for me, what my takeaway is to do my part, but within my comfort zone, or within my capacity, maybe I'll say, right? To not exhaust myself in it because there's only so much that I can do and I don't want to wear myself out. But I think it's also about kind of one of the things that I wanted to do for the year, right? Which is to look at things for what they are. Like, because I actually tend to be shocked every single time. Like, literally shocked. Like, I'm like, I can't believe it. And even that night when I got put over twice, I was shocked the first time, and I was equally as shocked the second time.
Yeah, like, so was I, because you was like, I'm getting pulled over. I'm like, what, nigga? You just got pulled. Like, we was on the phone both times, and you're still getting pulled. It's been 10 minutes. I don't even understand.
I just want to go home.
Right. You know? Like, I live literally like 2 seconds away from here. I'm just trying to get home.
What happened was I crossed from Pewaukee to Waukesha, so I got pulled over by Pewaukee, and then Waukesha was like, what? Nah.
We gonna pull us over too.
Like, But I think that it's about just, it's one of the things where it's like you never want to get to the point where you accept things that are unacceptable, but then you also don't want to live in a fantasy world where you act like you don't, you know, it's kind of like when they say like, when people show you who they are, believe it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, this is America, right? Like, understand this.
Right.
Don't be shocked.
Right.
But also don't accept it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like finding that balance of being aware, but not accepted. And even the small things, the microaggressions, like just calling those things out and questioning people, because I do think that there are a lot of people that don't think that the things that they do are racist.
Yeah.
And the things that they say, because that's not their intention. But baby, look at the impact. Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. So yeah. Thanks for tuning into Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time.
Peace.